Follow the yellow brick road, baby. We're back. UFC 251 recap. We had a great main card, man, but that card went fucking so long. It was like 140, I think, in the morning. I'm like delirious watching fights. Meanwhile, I can't fall asleep after these fights anyways because I'm so invested in the fights. But I mean, we had a lot of competitive fights. I mean, Masvidal was able to take Usman to the distance, Holloway, Volkanovski to the distance. Three title fights, so potential for 3 25-minute fights. Aldo got finished, but that was like late in the fifth round. So that fight went pretty long. And then, Rose Namajunas and Andrade went the distance. I mean, these were good fights, very competitive fights, but it got dragged out really long. It felt like the night started fast, but then kind of tapered off and started slowing down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot to talk about. A lot happened. There was that, did Max Holloway win that fight? I thought, it was definitely more in favor of Max winning than the first fight. I think the first fight, you can't really complain that it was Volkanovski. I think it was a little more clear cut. But with this fight, you're like, man, I feel like Max won, but I'm not quite sure that third round. But we'll get more into that. I might as well keep talking about that one. Then we'll talk about the main event, and then we'll go backwards to the Aldo Jan fight. But yeah, I mean, with the Max Holloway fight, you could see that he was completely making it obvious that every time he got kicked, he returned the kick or even added a kick on top of it, just to show the judges, like, hey, cool, like, you heard that noise. Well, I just made two of those noises, and trying to, I guess, outpoint the points system, with Volkanovski. I thought that was kind of funny. I thought that was kind of smart as well on his um, on his game plan and what he was thinking to try to kind of sway the judges in case he went 5 rounds. He came out a little bit more aggressive in this fight than the last fight. I like the head kicks. I feel like he mixed it up really well. That was one thing he kind of added that I think threw Volkanovski off. He ended up dropping him with one of those head kicks. And, because Holloway in the first fight was only really going to the body with those kicks. He didn't really bring him up too high. And I think that kind of took Volkanovski for surprise. And that was awesome to see. He made those adjustments. But the really interesting thing in the fight was that, Volkanovski got dropped twice, but was still able to stay focused, keep his game plan in order, and make those adjustments and adapt to the fight as it went. Come the third round, Volkanovski was a different fighter than the first 2 rounds. He got caught in those first 2 rounds. Third round, he kind of turned it a little bit. He's like, you know what? I'm going to start incorporating some takedowns, but I'm going to really go for him. I'm not just going to kind of throw it out there and make Max work. He was really making, an attempt to take him down. He got him down a couple times, didn't really hold him down long. In fights like these where it's so competitive and little takedowns happen, but a guy gets right back up, it's really hard for the judges. I mean, I feel for him. I'm not a judge, and I know there's, it's easy to complain sometimes and be like, what the fuck was that? And how'd you call this? And that was a robbery. First comes first, the fight's not a robbery unless a guy clearly dominates and then they give the other guy the victor. That's a robbery. But I do think Max edged out the fight. I thought it was 3-2 Max. That's my initial thoughts, watching it when it finished. Third round was definitely one of the harder rounds to kind of gauge. But, with Max dropping him a couple times and, a little bit more pressure, a little bit more volume, returning every single leg kick that Volkanovski threw pretty much with 1 or 2 leg kicks himself, just stuff like that. I thought, Max did a great job at adjusting to the first fight and really making a point to get those points and to win the fight. But nonetheless, Volkanovski wins. He gets the edge 3-2. Now, do you do a third Max fight? Like, what happens from here? Because yes, Max lost twice to Volkanovski, but a little bit of controversy. The majority of people really think he won. So how do you gauge that? What do you do if you're the UFC? Do you do a third fight? Do you kind of take that risk? Max is more of a household name, or do you go to another route with, the winner of Zombie and Ortega? Zabit is waiting in the wings. You got Cater Ige fighting this weekend. I think if Cater, knocks out Ige or something like that, you got to catapult that guy to the top right there. Josh Emmett had surgery, but he looked amazing. You got a lot of guys at 45 that are kind of coming up, but there's no clear-cut guy. I think you go with the winner of Zombie and Ortega, kind of have Max fight one fight with maybe a Zabit or maybe, someone like, I don't think they would do a Cater fight, but I don't know. I don't know where you go with Max from here. Will he move up to 155? Will he stay at 145 and kind of, work his way back up? I don't know. What do you guys think? We'll get to some questions, when we finish up here, but I'm curious what you guys think about what Max does next if they do a third fight. Main event, Jorge Masvidal takes the fight on 6 notice. Typical Usman performance. I kind of saw it going that way with the way that Usman mixes up wrestling and, is able to kind of time those takedowns. And I thought he was going to try to pressure Masvidal against the cage and utilize the clinch. And that's exactly what he did. He knows how to win those 5-round fights. Masvidal showed good opportunities, good effort, and he tried to land something big, but just never happened. Usman's one of those guys that has a great chin. After that Colby fight, you're like, what does it take to hurt this guy? He's just getting popped over and over, 5 rounds, back and forth. I mean, Colby's not known for like power punching and knocking guys out, but still, like, Usman's one of those guys that when I just look at him, I'm like, how the fuck? I can't even imagine this guy being hurt. I can't imagine this guy being rocked or like knocked down by a punch. Like it's just one of those things where you see certain guys, the way they fight, the way they're built. Usman's huge for the weight class, big back, like doesn't really show any kind of being phased by any punches, kicks, anything like that. Like he's very stoic throughout the fight. Whether he gets caught or not, you almost don't even see it. You can't even tell because he keeps his face straight, keeps his focus, doesn't really show any kind of signs of being hurt or being phased by anything. So, pretty dominant performance by Usman. Of course, later down the road, maybe you want to see that fight with a full camp. Although I do think Jorge was training pretty solidly, helping Dustin Poirier and a couple other guys, and then kind of maybe took a couple of weeks off. Sometimes that stuff could play a role, but if you're the BMF, I mean, you can't let that shit play a role, right? That's what BMF really is. Which brings me to think, like, what do you guys think about that? Like, is Usman a BMF now? Like, I mean, is he the BMF champ? He beat the BMF. So, like, how do you finagle that kind of situation? Like, I always wonder, like, why is Jorge still the BMF if Usman beat the BMF? Like, how do you figure that out? Like, is it because it wasn't for the BMF? Like, it wasn't on the line, so you can't give it to him? Like, I don't know. What do you guys think about that, too? It's kind of crazy, but hey. Maybe now's the time to do the Jorge Nate rematch. Maybe now's the time to make a Jorge Conor fight, like for the BMF title. So, maybe they bring it back. I know Dana said it was a one-off, but who the fuck knows? I think he's just saying that until they find the right fight to make a BMF fight, So I think that's a possibility that they'll do that again with Jorge. He's got that star power still. Colby Covington, who doesn't want to see that fight with Jorge? That would be amazing. I think they could sell a lot of pay-per-views with that fight if they do a good lead up to it. Could you imagine like a Jorge and Colby Covington as Ultimate Fighter coaches? I mean, tell me that wouldn't bring back the Ultimate Fighter viewage? I think so. But, man, we'll see what happens next. I think Usman's going to fight Gilbert Burns. I think that fight is a lot more competitive, looking at the stylistic matchup there. Gilbert Burns is a guy that has wrestling, not as good as Usman, but he's big, strong. He's a powerful guy. He punches hard. He puts, punches together well with his takedowns. His jiu-jitsu is world-class. So that's a fight where you're like, man, what's going to happen here? Curious to see. But Aldo Yan. Man, is Peter Yan the future or what? That fight started out. I was actually, as the fight was going, the first, second, third round, I was like, man, I'm getting confidence in Aldo. Aldo looks sharp. He's landing to the body over and over. He's got those leg kicks back. He's brought it back. He even knocked down Yan with a leg kick. And I was like, man, these leg kicks are going to pay off as the fight goes on. But then you slowly see a shift. In like the third round, Aldo, was hurt earlier by Yan. Yan kind of targeted the body a little bit, but then you see Aldo kind of just fade. You see less pop in his punches, less speed. He's stopping the leg kicks. He's not throwing them as hard. Jan's kind of pressuring him. He's in his face. He's switching stances. He's kind of keeping Aldo guessing. You can see the energy shift in these fights, especially as a fighter myself. I really see these things slowly happening, and I can kind of tell you as the fight goes on, look, Jan's starting to feel himself. Aldo's starting to fade. Something's going on, and you can kind of see it. Like, I kind of knew, like, as that third round was finishing up, like, Jan's probably going to put it on him. Jan has that durability. He shows, he's able to keep a pace. Aldo has faded in fights before, with Holloway, with, Volkanovski, with different fights that go the distance. Aldo's a really scary guy, kind of like Mariah's, to fight for 1, 2, 3 rounds. But then, 4 and 5, they start to fade if they don't finish you because they use a lot of explosiveness in every shot they throw. That could take a toll if you don't finish a guy when you threw everything at him for 2, 3 rounds. It can be demoralizing to some guys. And I think that kind of happened with Aldo. He's like, man, this guy won't go away. I'm hitting these fucking leg kicks, these body shots, and boom, he's still there because the Russians don't feel nothing. They keep a straight face like a doctor. So Jan is the future. I'd love to see him fight Aljo. I think that's the fight to make. That's a stylistic fight where you don't know, what's going to happen. Can Jan deal with a guy like Aljo on his back or taking him down and kind of having success with control? Aldo took Jan down for a second, but Jan kind of scrambled and got right back up. I think Aljo is a guy that can kind of keep you down. He can take your back. He can really threaten you as far as submissions goes. Aldo is just not that guy. You see Aldo on his back. He doesn't really threaten off his back. If Aljo ends up on the ground, he's going to cause a scramble, or he's going to threaten submissions and sweeps and triangles and different kind of things. So I'm really hyped to see what they do with Jan. I'm really interested to see how that matchup would go. Unfortunately, the way the UFC works, I just don't know where they're going to go. I don't know if they're going to give Aljo the shot. It would be a fucking travesty, to be honest, as far as what the rankings represent. You can go, you can forget about rankings if Aljo doesn't get a shot right now. But I can honestly see the UFC being like, you know what? Mariah's beat Aldo, right? I mean, let's go run that back. Let's go with Mariah's and Jan. Ali Abdelaziz, Mariah's manager, has a lot of power in the game. He's has a lot of champions, a lot of say. He might push for that fight, and that's a fireworks fight right there. That's a fight that the UFC wants to put on. Someone's gonna get knocked out. Someone's gonna get finished. That's what they like to see. So unfortunately, they might go that direction, and it's crazy. Even a Cody Garbrandt chirping at the bit. He wants to get at Jan. They had that backstage face to face. There's some storylines and hype there that they could build on the UFC to promote. And Cody Garbrandt's a star. He's a big name, and Aljo's still trying to get himself there. But he's definitely a big name as well. He's just not that superstar yet. I think you got to give Aljo the fight, man. If you don't, you really show that, you don't give a fuck about who earns their shot up there, and it's just whatever makes the best sense for, pay-per-views or knockouts and finishes and stuff like that, which sometimes they go that route, man. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I know what you guys think, what you want to see, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, hey, Marlon Marias, hey, Cody Garbrandt, you ready to another title shot? Here you go. Boom, bang, fucking dunzo. But yeah, the rest of the card, fight of the night, Nami Yunus and Andrade, man, that was a great fight. Both of those girls made adjustments, especially Andrade, man. I thought she was looking amazing with the head movement. She was really letting loose on that power. I think the 3 rounds helped her kind of believe in her cardio and kind of just let things go and try to go for the knockout. She's the female John Lineker. She throws those big hooks in a lot of volume. Rose has some of the most crisp hands in MMA. Great boxing, great jabs, straight punches, a lot of speed and volume. And Rose has just got some beautiful movement. Just her body type and style for the weight class is great. And she, outpointed Jessica Andrade. She was really landing a little bit more, straight punches were coming through. Andrade's head movement was a lot better than the first fight, but was still getting kind of pieced up a little bit. There were no slams in this fight. Rose stayed out of the clinch for the most part. Didn't really get involved in that where she can get lifted up or anything. I know she wasn't going to reach over for any Kimuras in this fight. We know that. So that was a great performance, though, man. And Rose showed durability in that fight. She had, her orbital was messed up. Her eye was shut. She had a cut on her nose, possibly a broken nose. I don't know. But they deserved fight of the night. That was amazing. That was a great fight. Who's to know if maybe they look to do like a Rose and a Weili Zhang fight? That would be amazing. Would love to see that. We'll see what they go. Amanda Ribas submits Paige Van Zant. You got to imagine Van Zant's going to go to Bellator. She's going to test free agency now. Coming off a loss, I just don't see the UFC matching any kind of big numbers that maybe Bellator will throw at her. Her husband's over there. I think it's a great match. What a personality Amanda Ribas has. You know, like they say, it's infectious. She's got that laugh. She's a bubbly personality and like, you know, funny and goofy on the mic. And I think, you know, with being a Brazilian that speaks somewhat good English, you know, that's going to help her a lot with marketability and stuff like that. And she's a finisher. You know, that was a nice, beautiful armbar. You know, I think she typically would fight at a different weight class. I'm not sure what her last fight was at, but she looked great here. And, you know, she got a lot of hype after the fight with just the way she talks on the mic and the way she gets kind of goofy over there. So, you know, UFC is going to jump on those opportunities to promote people who are very marketable. So I think that's a really big thing for Ribas. I'd love to see Ribas fight someone like a who was I thinking earlier? I was thinking of someone who I thought was a great matchup for her, a great fight. Um, I lost my train of thought. I don't know. Tell me who you guys think you want to see Ribas fight. If it comes back to me, I'll let you know. But I thought of like a cool fight that would be great with her. I just forget who it was. I had the name. It's at the tip of my tongue. Fuck. Down to the prelims. Ozdemir knocked out by a wild man in Yuri Prochaska. Prochaska. Hard to pronounce his name, but we'll stick with Yuri. Yuri was bouncing all over the place. He's looking at different things. He's tapping his gloves like this. I'll tell you what, a guy like that with confidence to be so reckless, it's a scary guy to fight, man. I mean, you're going up against a guy who is showing you straight to your face, I don't care. Like, I don't need to put my hands up. Like, I don't need to look at you. I'm confident that I'm going to catch you. You don't know what's coming at you. You don't know where I'm coming from. Oh, am I going with a straight right? Or am I throwing a head kick without even looking at you? Like, this guy was throwing some crazy unorthodox stuff. Imagine a fight with him and Johnny Walker or like a Michelle Pereira or something crazy like that. Like, they got to do something like that. Like, that's insane. You know how many people will get behind that fight? Man, this guy is made out of something else. He's huge for the weight class. He's just ripped and lean, but also muscular. And man, he knocked Ozdemir out bad. That was this beautiful KO. And I think Ozdemir was kind of getting frustrated. And I think he's like, what the hell is this guy doing? Bouncing all over the place. I think he wanted to take his head off. He was like, come on, man, let's go. Let's fight. What are you doing? And then boom, like, Yuri catches him with that head kick and then finishes up. It was nasty, man. But that was a beautiful debut for that guy who has like what, I don't know, like 17 knockouts in a row or some shit. I think it was 11, but that's like crazy. I mean, if you have that many knockouts in a row, like whoever has to fight you is just like, I can't get hit. You know, and like the way that this guy fights, so crazy and wild, like you don't know where he's throwing things from. I mean, you know, traditionally when someone teaches you how to fight, they're going to tell you hands up and keep your chin down and this and that. But you know what? MMA is so beautiful because you could become the best fighter in the world in MMA and not do any of those things that you're taught. It's just crazy, you know? I mean, who's teaching Dominic Cruz to do footwork like that? What kind of coach is like, hey, man, we're going to do this crazy switch stance, angle, turn? Like, it's just no one's teaching you that. Like, you're figuring this out as an artist, as a mixed martial artist, how to find yourself as a fighter, what works best for you. And if you believe in it, you can use that against anybody that's an amazing boxer, an amazing kickboxer, an amazing Muay Thai guy, an amazing wrestler. It doesn't matter. If you're an amazing MMA fighter and you're confident in your creations, you could implement that and win and be one of the best fighters in the world in this sport. It's crazy. Solikov, Dos Santos, I think this was the most neck and neck competitive fight, a kind of a controversial decision. I think a lot of people thought Dos Santos won. You know, I thought these guys were two very, very high level strikers, that it was kind of like very negated. You know, it was both guys at a very extreme technical level that didn't really want to give an inch. And I think it was a great fight. You know, I really enjoyed watching it. Salikov, you know, puts a lot of guys away, but Dos Santos is such a tough guy. And they're both kind of finishers, but both such high level strikers and fighters that it was hard to put each other away. So I went to the decision. I thought I edged it to Dos Santos 2-1, but they gave it to Salikov. I mean, I could kind of see it go that way, but I was a little bit surprised. Makwan Amirkhani with a beautiful Darce choke over Danny Henry, puts him to sleep. That's a great rebound for Makwan. I think he lost his last fight. What to Shane Burgos, right? And kind of got dominated in that fight a while ago. Was out for a while. Didn't fight since I think last November, maybe. Uh, but puts on a beautiful submission here, man. And that was just nice technical stuff. I think that's one of his go-to chokes, and he was saying that he gets a lot of black belts with that. So watch out for Makwan latching up your neck, man. If I'm you, if you're fighting a guy like that, you definitely want to strike with him and don't get caught with your head, underneath him and able to latch his arms around you. He's got nasty chokes. Leonardo Santos, that guy gassed out big. What a crazy fight with the low blows in this fight. Roman Bogatov, I think he had like 3 low blows. They took 2 points away from him. I have never seen that, but someone was telling me that happened before the Jones, I think in the Jones Smith fight, right? He got 2 points taken at one moment of one foul. And I haven't really seen that. So I was like, man, that's crazy. 2 points. Like you're really, it took Mark Goddard time to kind of do it. It was like 3 times that he hit him there. And you knew Leonardo Santos wanted that rest time, but he was like, I'm going to take my 5 minutes and hopefully recover, but it didn't seem like he did. He kind of was gassed out by the end of the fight, just laying there. Bogatov tried to finish him, but with the 2 points, it's kind of hard to win a fight like that when you're down 2 points already. He had to put Santos away. He tried, but he couldn't get it done. So Dos Santos by decision. We had the early prelims. Tabora had a nice win. Maxim Griffin. We had Hylam Paiva. He had a decision win, and then Carl Rosa by decision, and then, man, Davey Grant showing he still belongs, man, with that knockout over Martin Day. Supposedly he had a broken jaw, too, before he got the knockout, so even more the props to him for that. Dana White posted a video showing him, kind of telling him, like, hey, good fight, kid, and he got the performance of the night bonus, so props to Davey Grant. He's still in there, man. Solid bantamweight right there. But yeah, that was the card. We'll get to some Twitter questions. I see you guys in the comment sections going off like boomerangs. And yeah, we'll do Twitter questions. We'll get to some of these questions. Branch above, I think Max132. I agree. Max took the loss very well. What do you think of his response? Oh, dude, Max Holloway is just a champion at life, honestly. Like, he's just such a humble guy, and he just knows how to lose. Like, people fall in love with Max Holloway because of the way he handles losses, the way he presents himself to the world as a human being, not just as a fighter. His relationship with his son, just a lot of great things with Max Holloway. He's just a good dude all around. I think everybody could see that, and that's why we love him, and I love watching Max fight. With all that stuff aside, just Max's style of fighting, I just think he's such a great fighter. Technical, confident, durable, great cardio, a lot of volume. His striking is technical and tricky. He's a fun fighter to watch. Fun. Great first round from Masvidal. Usman in better shape, grinded him out. Yeah, we knew that. 6 days notice, it was maybe a factor. Usman's known for like fucking EPO type cardio, and I'm not saying he takes EPO. I'm just saying like the guy don't stop. The guy's on another level with his cardio. I mean, Colby Covington has sick cardio. Look at Usman in that fight, man. He put him away late. It's crazy. Usman can never be a BMF. Hey, I guess it's all opinion, right? Masvidal, Diaz, Perry, Cerrone are all BMF. I mean, yeah, they are BMS, but like, why? Like, why are they BMFs? Why isn't somebody a BMF if they beat them by, let's say, finish, knockout, let's say just scrap, like crazy hard fight decision win? Why not? I think Colby beats Jorge. Yeah, it'd be a fun fight to see. I think Colby's got that volume, kind of like Usman, but he also, he's going to shoot a lot probably on Jorge, try to break him in the wrestling, kind of like Usman set the layout for. So we would see. But I think that would be crazy heat, crazy hype in the lead up to that fight. Jose was looking good. I think Jan, being the younger fighter, had more in the tank. Yeah, for sure. Definitely younger, definitely more in the tank, and it showed come the later rounds. How do you see Jan O'Malley going? I think Jan would beat him. I think O'Malley might be able to hit him with something, but I think Jan would mix it up, take him down, ground and pound him, probably, take over as the rounds go on and get the finish by TKO. Boom, what up? What's up, Ma Scream? Good job, Boone. Thank you. I appreciate that. One Eye Jack, Waterson, Moss Scream TV. If you ever want to come on Odds HQ breakdown, yeah, hit me up, man. I mean, I got a lot of messages after the last fight. It's hard to kind of keep up with shit. You know, I'm back in the gym training. A lot of times I got to work around my training. I'm house shopping lately, so we're looking for a fucking Boom cave so we could get a little better background for these, these Boom breakdowns at the new house. So been house shopping, been busy, but yeah, hit me up. Boom, we looking at the Wednesday card after the recap. Yeah, we'll get to the Wednesday card. I'll probably hit it. Wow, it's already Monday. So what am I gonna do? I gotta do a Boom breakdown tomorrow for the Wednesday card. I'll keep you guys tuned on Twitter. Follow me, Boom, Brian Boom 135. Also, if you could share the videos, give a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. We're gonna try to stay consistent with these. King Ferguson, the GOAT. Do you think Jorge will eventually move back down to 55? He could, I don't think he's a huge 70-pounder, but he loves his food. I think, maybe he doesn't want to deal with the weight cuts anymore, dehydrating, fighting, kind of hindered his performance maybe. You never know how he felt, but we know he loves his food, and he looks good at 170. I mean, to beat Diaz like that and also to knock out Askren and be able to kind of show that he can compete with Usman on 6 days notice, even though he lost and definitely got clearly beat, it still shows he belongs at 170. He could stay there. He can move down. Depends on how he feels, but he could do good in both weight classes. Sake World Believer, what's your walk around weight? I don't even want to check my weight right now, to be honest with you. I had like 6 donuts yesterday. Maybe we'll check it towards the end of this week, get a good solid weekend and check it. I would say I'll be in the high 150s, probably about 158, around there. Why is the UFC giving O'Malley an easy path? Well, now comes the real path. You know what I mean? I think Wineland was like a dish, a little snack on a dish. Here you go. Enjoy that. But now Marlon Vera is a tough test. That's a real test. Unfortunately, I think Marlon will strike with him. I don't think he will enforce wrestling. And it's not like Marlon is like some kind of NCAA wrestler. He's got great jiu-jitsu, and he has he has good striking. I wouldn't say great. He's got good striking. He's powerful. He's getting better and better, but he's falling in love with the striking. And against a guy like O'Malley who wants to strike with you, if you don't put him away or get in his face and make him kind of drown him with your pressure and make him, defend takedowns and try to take him down and ground and pound him and pass guard. Like if you're not enforcing that against O'Malley, he's eventually probably going to knock you out. So I hope that Vera does that, but we'll see. I do think this is a real test, though. If he knocks a guy like Vera out cold in the first, second, third round, whenever, like, you got to give O'Malley props then. Connor beats Nate in the trilogy. Yeah, we'll see, man. That's definitely a hard fight to pick. I give the edge to Nate. Love the show. Keep them coming. Thank you, Branch Above. Oh, I'm on the road to welterweight. You damn right I am. Fuck, man. No, we're going to eat good this week. We're going to eat the veggies, the oatmeals, the fucking lean meats, the eggs, all that good shit. The kombuchas. Let's check the Twitter questions. Let's check the Twitter question. What do you guys think? Should I take a little hit of the boomchi? The boomski? I don't know. We'll keep this. You know what? Before the Twitter questions, we'll get a crack-a-lack in here. Why not? For the fans. For the fans. Got to do it for the fans. They pay to watch you fight. I got to pay it back. You got to pay it forward. So that's what we do here. We're back in action. If I slip up and forget everything I'm talking about, you know why. But you still love me, right? Hey, we got to name this guy, by the way. I haven't really named him. That's why I was slipping up. I said the Boomski. Give me some names for this guy. I think Boomski's pretty cool, but maybe you have a better name. Maybe you have a better name for me. Get boomed, son. Do you feel Edwards is being looked over or treated unfairly at all? They're talking about Leon Edwards or Leon Scott, as Colby would say. I don't know where he got that from. This is from Lucifer at Donk City. I wonder what that means. You know what? They're definitely looking over him, but this is the business, man. If you're not speaking up and you don't have a big star power and you're not a guy that they see as becoming a star, they're going to overlook you and they're going to pass you by with the guys that they have relevancy for becoming stars and that they can build and that they can get behind. And it's unfortunate because Leon Scott, see what happens there when you take a fucking little I forget all their names. Leon Edwards. That's what happens, man. You know, he's has such a winning streak right now. He's been fighting amazing, you know, and now he's on hold because of this whole COVID thing, and he's not a big power star, so they're not really giving him that opportunity. I think maybe they do Leon Edwards versus Masvidal. Why not? Why not with the whole 3-piece and a soda, right? You can now build that fight. You can make that fight. I just don't think Jorge will take it because Jorge is gonna fight big fights, and Leon Edwards is not a big fight, unfortunately. You know, for Leon Edwards, that would be a win-win to be able to fight a guy and become a star potentially in some way. But I don't know if they're going to give him that fight. That would be cool, though. There is some storylines there. Max won 1,000%. I don't disagree with you. Who do you match up with Yuri Prochaska next? That's the wild man right there. I would go with probably Walker or Michelle Pereira. Maybe who's that other guy that's looking beast at 205? Fuck, forget his name. You know whose fault it is. It's your fucking fault. Did we give him a name yet? Did we give him a name yet? No, I'm not in UFC 4. It's bullshit, man. They got to put me in the game, man. I'm the best baldy head in the game. I don't know why they don't put me in there. See that phone case, though? I still love you, though. Come on, guys. Give me a name for him. Tough. Both Leon and Burns deserve title shots. Yeah, I mean, Burns definitely Burns is probably gonna get next. I think Leon Edwards is probably gonna have to fight someone else, unfortunately. What do you think about UFC judging weighing rounds more? Like Holloway won 1 and 2 by way more than Volkanovski won any rounds. Should that count for something? Well, I don't know really what you're asking here, but as far as the Holloway Volkanovski fight, that's the thing, man. I was talking about this the other night. Like, how do you judge fights? Like, what do you know, if I leg kick you 3 times, but then you drop me with a head kick, but then I recover quickly and I kind of come at you with a 1-2 and a takedown. I take you down, but I hold you down only for like 30 seconds. But then you get back up, and then I kind of control the rest of the minute left in the round with jabs and like leg kicks, but it's very close. Like you're landing, I'm landing, but I'm landing a little bit more. How do you judge that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you bring that sequence to a conclusion? That's the hard thing with these judges. I mean, these fights are happening, you know, at a fast pace, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the, you know, at the end of the round, you're like, you know how many times these judges are probably like, I don't know who won that round, but that guy got that last head kick, and fuck it, I'm gonna go with him. Like they probably do that all the time instead of going with a 10-10 round or a 9-9 or whatever they want to give it to make it even. Yeah, but judging's hard, man. And you know, even as a fighter watching these fights, sometimes I'm fucking confused. I'm like, I don't know, but I think Holloway won. I thought he won 3 rounds just because, you know, I'm watching and I'm seeing what I'm seeing. But am I seeing it all? And am I calculating it all? It's probably not even humane to be able to calculate everything in a round that happens at a high pace fight with high volume. It's just like, what do you do? But yeah, Rakic versus Proshka would be a sick fight. That's who I was thinking of. That'd be awesome. The boomstick. The boom shakalaka. The boom shakalaka. I like that. I'm doing Twitter questions, but I'm looking at your questions in the comment section. You see what you do to me? I'm surprised no one has mentioned the 30-foot cage. It seemed to me like it slowed the fights down. You know what? That could be a thing. There's a lot more space in that cage. If you want to circle, you want to move around, you want to avoid the fight a little bit, it's definitely a thing. I don't know if it makes the whole difference in why this fight's good or why that's not. I mean, these fights were great. You had finishes. Peter Yan, you had a great fight in Andrade and Rose. That fight was aggressive. That fight was back and forth. I think smaller cage would have made it even crazier with Andrade's power in the pocket, but I'm sure there is somewhat of a role that the bigger cage plays in these fights, and it might switch things up as far as movement goes and avoiding things and kind of getting away from the fight if you would like in certain areas. But either way, I think high level guys are trying to win fights. They're trying to finish fights. They want that win bonus. So I don't know how much it really affects things as far as slowing down and whatnot. Do you think Jorge will get the opportunity of a rematch or nah? No rematch right now. Definitely not. Jorge can fight anybody, and it's a big fight. They're probably going to go the Nate Diaz BMF rematch. I don't know if they want to do that again or if they want to do a new BMF fight or what. I know it was a one-off, but I guess the way that they can do it again is to do it with Nate, right? Just rematch it, run it back. I thought Max clearly won 3-2, but that's in the books now. The important thing is we can be done with the future to improve judging, not the method, but judges themselves. Yeah, I mean, who are the judges? I have no idea. Fighters would be great judges. I think the best judges, if anybody would, that eye for a fight and what's happening in the fight. It's still hard, but like I'd love to be a judge. But here's the thing. I don't think a lot of fighters are judges because the biased effect, you don't know what fighters this guy knows and what coaches he likes and who's he friends with. And if he's being honest about, the judging and if it's a close round, hey, fuck it, I like this guy more. Like that could be happening. So I don't know if that's why there's not many fighter judges, but hey, I'd like to throw my name in the hat. I like to be a fighter judge. I mean, I like to be a judge for these fights. I don't know what the hell they get paid. Is it enough? Free travel, first class, hotel, free room service? I'll take it. By the way, those flights to Abu Dhabi were fucking amazing. Did you see that? They're laying down. They got the first class. I know it's a 15-hour flight, but hey, how come all of a sudden it's all the fighters in first class? I never flew first class to any of my fights without this COVID situation. I mean, come on, dog. Like hook a brother up here with this first class action. We're laying down, kick back, relax. You got the nice little espressos if you want, the TVs, the blankets, the outfits, the pajamas. I could use that for any of these fights. That'd be awesome. Hopefully they do that more often. Maybe the UFC's switching things up. The Venom deal's crazy, right? Venom's coming in to replace Reebok. I hope they do a really good job. I hope the fighters get paid, dispersed evenly throughout, at a higher rate. And I hope Venom makes some cool gear. It's going to be interesting to see because they've been in the fight game for a while. But yeah, we'll do a boom breakdown for the Wednesday card, Cater versus Ige. I can't wait for that fight. And if you guys thumbs up, subscribe, I appreciate it. Appreciate all the interaction that we get here. It's fun to do these things. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will be back next time, baby. Boom.